It is your current affairs show on UBC TV every weekday from 6:30 to the hour of 9. Make it a point to join us and do not miss to know what is happening globally and locally. We've so much focused on the coronavirus, and this is something that of course has shaken the world and is consuming lives just like a wildfire. But also one of the sectors that have greatly been affected is the tourism sector globally. Many countries have come up with travel advisories, therefore calling upon people who would have been tourists in their country not to bother coming into their countries. So that means the tourism sector has greatly been affected. Coming back home, tourism contributes to 9% of our GDP. Just like last year alone, we got over 1.5 billion, that is US dollars, that is over 3 trillion, go to our 3 trillion go to our treasury. But this year, we do not know how things are going to be handled. But experts in this sector have also argued that much of the money collected in the tourism sector is gotten, that is from people who come and visit our national parks. Today, we want to go diverse and look at tourism, youth involvement, and how best the youth can promote tourism and mobilize towards that sector. And with me today in studios, we have two beauties, because these are people who contested, that is in the Miss Tourism. And with us we have Marcela Ariso, who is a Rising Woman Miss Tourism Teso. Because this is a title that is given to a woman in this contest as the most entrepreneurial woman there, an enterprising woman there. And I'm glad to introduce to you, and also a warm welcome to you, that is Marcela. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone.
How have you been?
I'm well, thank you. I'm Marcela Ariso. I'm a student of journalism and communication, year 2, at Uganda Matters University in Kozi.
Okay. Nice to have you in studios. And on the other side, I have the second runner-up, that is Miss Tourism Uganda, that is Akuro Jean Corporais. Good morning.
Good morning.
How have you been? What have you been up to?
I've been okay. Been up to studies. Yes.
Where are you studying from?
I study in Chambogo University. I'm a second-year student pursuing a bachelor's degree in interior design and landscape architecture. Okay.
And of course, my colleague Felix, who is with me here.
The winner is called the winner, not the first runner-up is the second person.
But there's no contest for if there is for men, I don't know why they have not given it to that.
Mr. Tourism Uganda.
Mr. Tourism Uganda.
That must be good. But anyway.
But it's coming soon. One
should.
time I looked at these, are they bodybuilders? Also they have something where they flex and you see almost all muscles of the entire body coming out. But of course, what you're focusing on today, like I said earlier, we want to look at other elements through which we can promote tourism. The people do not just come to our country to look at the chimpanzees and go to game parks, and that is all that we look at as tourism. One of the most interesting things that I came across was in Brussels, where they have the pissing mannequin. This is a young man, a statue made out of bronze, and every year it earns that country over $133 million. People just come to see this statue of a young boy who is pissing. And what happened that this boy saved the entire city when it was under siege, because united on a fuse that would be detonated. So people gather and makes a lot of money for this city. So I'll begin with that is Raising Women. When we talk about youth involvement in tourism, this is a sector dominated more by youth. How best can the youth promote tourism?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would want to say youth are very energetic people, and then the youth are very many in Uganda. So I think it's like a great opportunity for the tourism sector to take up this and maximize this energy that the youth have today. So first of all, to me, I feel like if the youth are able to participate in education of their fellow citizens. I want to focus on domestic tourism because to Uganda it's like one of the biggest sources of our economy. So if youth get involved and help fellow youth tell people. You see, the challenge is today. Very many people think tourism is about going to Dubai, going to France, Paris, probably. So, but if you focus about what's here, look at the beautiful nature in Uganda. So if I come and tell my fellow students, probably Jean and our classmates, and we're like, let's go just on a school trip, probably, or a study trip, and let's go and look at the nature. Let's look at the beautiful things we have here in Uganda and try to tell other people about it. That's sensitization. That's what I would first want to focus on.
Akulo, when you talk about domestic tourism, this is something that Uganda is not doing good.
Yeah.
Most of the money in the tourism sector is foreign earned. And when these people come, we know where their destination, game parks, water reserves. Why do we see lack of interest for Ugandans themselves? A person born in Jinja maybe does not even know the nearest tourist attraction center there. Person born in Mbale may not even know the CP Falls, Kapchora, CP Falls. So why do we have this challenge?
I believe, first of all, it's maybe exposure, because we as the youth, we just basically are used to social media. So if in social media, basically most of the youth have a larger social media platform than the elderly. So if I use my social media platform, I go to this place and I talk about it, explain and write where it's located and give everyone the details, someone will get an interest in coming. This also comes to us whereby we use our platforms as brand ambassadors to go and advise the locals that are located in the very same areas. For example, Kapchora, tell you there is CP Falls, go visit the place. I maybe can talk to the youth, talking to them, why don't you go and apply and be a game ranger there? Why don't you go? So them getting to know it, they'll go and tell their friends, and whereby it will promote local tourism, that's domestic tourism, in the long run.
Well, I want to ask, maybe I'll ask her first, that talking about tourism, it's quite a growing industry in Uganda. Now, how can youth position themselves to be either of assistance and probably also to gain out of it? Because you, as you said, tourism can be an earning venture. So how can youth position themselves to be able to tap into the potentials that come with tourism?
Thank you so much, Felix. First of all, there is a lot. For example, I would want to cite an example of nature. There is papyrus. We can use crafts, yeah?
Okay.
If youth focus on using these natural resources that we have, probably papyrus, and then you end up skilling yourself, come up with something creative, beautiful. Tourists are usually, okay, even just us, you're kind of, you're awed by looking at something made handfully, nice and beautiful. So I feel like if the youth would come up with, think of something like crafty, then probably partner with a safari company or a hotel, then you talk to them, tell them this is what I have, then you come to an agreement whereby they'll sell off your product, they get a commission, but you're also earning because you'll be able to sustain yourself, your family, though you'll also be able to pay tax to the country. It's a two-way thing. That's what I think.
Now, I'll ask Akulo here. You're talking about youth and being involved in tourism. There are a couple of challenges. As she said, trying to be enterprising by maybe doing a couple of crafts and all these things. But there are a lot of limitations as well. Let's talk about poverty. Let's talk about exposure, you said earlier. How do you go around this? How can your colleagues go around this? You people are lucky you're exposed. You've been exposed at probably an early age, but there's so many people who want to be like you. And there's so many barriers. How do you go around these barriers to become useful in tourism?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I believe in achieving something. If you have a goal and if you have a dream and you're ambitious, you're going to achieve it. So there is poverty, but as she said and as she highlighted, try to use the natural resources around you. For example, the papyrus, okay? Or maybe the crafts. Now, we as Karamojongs are known for making beads, okay? Wow. So if I would get the beads from maybe my
grandmother. You're not putting any of the beads, though, so...
Yes, it's
okay.
Okay, I'll bring them for you next time.
Cool.
Okay, so if I would use what we have to make what we can get. Now, this is whereby we would also ask the government and those who have opportunities to come to us and help us. Because if, let me say, for example, I partner with the Minister of Tourism and we go around visiting the different areas and visiting the different youths and teaching them how to make these crafts, and maybe we leave them with something. For example, if I would bring beads and I'd be like, this is how they make beads, I have given you something, but at the end of the day, I want my share and you also take your share. So after you giving me back what I have earned, what I have invested in you, then you continue from your place. So it comes to us and we, the big people.
You need the support
from
the
us,
institutions.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Well, one of the challenges that I see that is in the tourism sector is how are we going to change tourism from nature and wild animals? Because now with the outbreak of coronavirus, there is so much threat with animals. And even if you look at the few tourists that would be coming in this country, how are we going to go a bit diverse? That we move away from people coming to look at animals, because I believe there's so much potential in our culture. Yes. I got an opportunity to visit the Batwa. I was like, oh goodness, there's so much. The Iki people. I was like, Jesus, these are also people in Uganda, you know. When you look at our culture, the Embaru, that dance, that rich culture, there's so much, but we seem so much taken to one element when it comes to tourism. And maybe of late we've had this culture and the artisans, but how do we move to this direction that can also gather us a lot of money?
Okay, I'm an advocate for cultural tourism myself. I believe it comes back to you, the elderly, right? So if I grow up with my parents, and every time I come back from work, every time I come back from school, Mama will teach me, this is how they greet in Karamajong, this is how they greet in Teso, this is how they greet in Soka.
Do you know how they greet in Kejong?
Yes, Mata. Yes. Okay. So if not, during holidays, they take me back and they be like, this is grandmother, this is grandmother's home, this is how they grind. So this will bring us, we shall grow up getting to know how our culture is, whereby if I know how my culture is, I can teach her, who is a Muteso, my culture. She will teach me the Bateso culture. So this creates culture tourism among us, culture diversification. So when the whites come, or the international people, we shall still be able to teach them, because I learned from her, and what I've learned from her, I'll be knowing two cultures, mine plus hers, and I teach it to a foreigner.
Can I want to concur with what she's saying, but I'll also try to say another thing that is very important is from school level or just like countrywide, I think the arts should be promoted, like the dances and what, because I think dance is like also a source of tourism. Like the dances are really beautiful. You've seen how the Maganda dance and all that. But like the challenge is the arts, I think, a bit criticized or taken up by more of the sciences, where they want to focus on science and studies. So when you look at someone dancing, you feel like, don't they have other things to do? Instead of you supporting their talent, to see how it would be like brought up and everyone is encouraged, because it's a source of tourism. Yeah. So
have we seen direct involvement, for example, as the Miss Tourism fraternity, direct involvement and pushing for cultural tourism?
Yes.
Do we have that?
Yes, actually in our contest, one of the first things we do, especially like, for example, Elimination Night, we have to learn all the different dances of Uganda.
Elimination Night.
Okay. So that promotes cultural tourism. And also in between, and as we are introducing ourselves, we're introducing our local languages. So at the end of the day, because every time, for example, when we are practicing and rehearsing, I'll keep saying Mata, Mata, so everyone will learn Mata. So when they come to my region, they'll know it is Mata. When I go to Busoga, it's Kodeo Bakagwa. If it's Teso,
Gebo.
Yes.
Okay, I want to add to what she's saying. So during the contest, usually, the trainers, because you're from all the different regions of Uganda, when they're teaching the traditional dance, because it's a must, you are taught all the traditional dances from the West. So when you look at us,
how many traditional dances are there in this country?
Okay, we are taught like
12 regions.
Yeah,
so there are 12.
So just regions. I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, 12 regions.
So so you're taught all those dances. So it helps you like integrate. So by the time I leave, at least I know Chinyankole dance, Chichiga, and all other
it, yeah.
Yes. So that means when I go to represent Uganda somewhere else as a tourism ambassador, that means I can show for it. through the dance.
Wow. Now let me just ask something. There's been a couple of critics about this whole Miss Tourism things, and of course the issue of beauty pageants in all aspects. And people think or have a perception that you girls get spoiled, choose yourself, you don't have anything to add and all these kind of things. I want to ask on behalf of a couple of viewers there, even parents. I don't know, you probably can also share with us your experiences with your parents and that, but do you think these competitions actually assist in pushing tourism per se? Do you think? I'll start with you.
Yes, I do. Yes, let me give you my experience.
Sure.
First of all, contesting was really difficult for my parents to accept, but finally they did, because it helped me, because a cousin of mine contested 2 years back, and she came and talked to them and told them how it benefited her. So me contesting for Miss Tourism, I chose Miss Tourism because of my love for tourism and my love for my region. People know Karamoja as a tainted background place. We are warriors. So I wanted to show them that we are not. We were.
Oh.
Okay. So yes, and then they can, like when someone meets me, are you a Karamajong? Why don't you have tattoos? Why don't you have space on your teeth? So I wanted to show them that actually we Karamajongs are beautiful. I wanted them to come to our region and see what we have to offer. So contesting for Miss Tourism actually
have you
gave me
achieved that?
The platform.
No, have you attracted people to the region?
Yes, basically.
Okay.
So do you believe I'm Karamajon?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do.
thank you. Okay, I have attracted them, but of course due to studies, I've been in and out. But I believe as I keep going, and I'm very sure by Karamoja is the destination to go. So going contesting for Miss Tourism, I met different people. I met Marcella. I met different queens who actually helped me and gave me a platform. For example, if I have a problem, I can go to Marcella and I'd be like, you know what, Marcella, I have this problem, help me out. This also gave me a platform whereby if I put on my crown and I walk into an office, they'll be like, this is a queen. And I tell them, I need this and this is my project, help me out, and I need sponsorship, so they will help me.
All right, so basically it's also good for exposure.
Yes, it's good for exposure.
Yes.
Thank you, Felix. One, I dreamt since I was a child to be like a climate change ambassador. So even in the aspect of journalism that I'm doing, I always keep on saying, I want to do this for climate in Uganda. I want to do for Uganda, actually.
Wow.
So it was an opportunity. One, I'm a bit self-evaluatory. I think it's a weakness, because all the time before you do certain things, you're scared sometimes people are going to judge you and what. But the misconception that you're saying is everywhere about contests. The challenge is people don't know that it benefits you in a way, because you're taught a lot of self-realization and self-discovery, which will boost your confidence and help you achieve a dream. Because you know it's easy for you to go for what you want when you know who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in the long run, so I've done with my university, you've probably heard at Uganda Matters, we won an award with UN for the climate change and all that. So we have those projects we usually do, even agriculture sector. So we always do, so in my university actually, I'm like the brand of climate change.
Wow.
So we are always trying to do activities that will extend, maybe plant trees to the people in the village and what. So we're actually at the equator, so usually we have good rains.
Yeah, because clearly
Yes,
it trickles back to
You've talked
tourism.
about both of you realizing your dreams. And of course, that is first, it has to be you. But now let's look at this element of tourism. We have domestic and, of course, people who come in, the foreigners. And Uganda is doing fairly well in terms of how much it brings into our coffers. But then we can do more. We can do much better. So how do these crowns help that come into effect?
Thank you so much. Basically, first of all, we getting these crowns represents us as the brand ambassadors of tourism of Uganda. So using our platforms, we basically have to promote tourism either through social media or through talks, public talks, through
TV
conferences,
shows like
through TV shows, yes, thank you. Because this is not going to end here. Everyone out there is going to be listening. And they'll be like, okay, yes, you talked about CP Falls. Also, there are CP Falls in Uganda. She comes from Karamoja. What does she have to offer? She comes from this. What does she have to offer? So basically, we use our crowns to create a platform for the youth. Because when they see us, a young kid right now might be watching and like, Daddy, I want to be like that girl when I grow up. Okay, so she's going to get inspired, and she's going to have to read about tourism and get to learn about the things in Uganda. Yes.
Okay. Marcella, I need your input also on that. How best you're using this crown
Thank
to promote
you
tourism.
so much. Mine is usually campaigns. I do campaigns. I go to primary schools. I go to secondary schools. We go to local communities. So when we go to these local communities or primary schools, I feel education, okay, telling someone about something, educating them is the easiest way to make them aware about something. So I'm using education. We've gone to schools like Hillside Primary School, Nalia, because it has very many pupils. So these pupils whom you'll tell things about tourism, they always look at you and they're like, I want to be like you, they admire you. So you have to tell them, for you to be like me, you have to know things about tourism and what, because that's eventually, so they kind of get inspired and they have to read. So that's like the little we have been trying to do.
Let me just ask something. You have tried in this time to understand tourism in Uganda, and purposes of helping our viewers out there to understand, what are some of the challenges with your experience and exposure towards tourism that you have highlighted? Because now that when we talk about them, maybe the government will react, anyone else there who's listening, and I'll start with you, Akulo. What are some of those challenges, and relate them to sometimes generally? Let's talk about generally some of the challenges you have met and you think are with our tourism sector.
Well, first of all, the challenges. I as me, first, are sponsors. At times, I would want to do a project. For example, my upcoming project, whereby I want to go and uplift the Karamojong area. Okay, I want to go and teach the youth, because we are not from a very rich place. I want to teach the youth how to make crafts. I want to teach them how to make liquid soap and maybe sell so that they can earn income. I want to teach them how to make pads, because even if you give girls pads, even if you give us books, even if you give us pens, at the long run they are going to get done. But if I teach you how to make things by yourself, you keep making them, you're going to sell them and earn. So with my project, I will need sponsors, because I cannot do it by myself. So getting sponsors also at a point gets hard. Yes, gets it. So if people would come on board and I bring my project and you would help me out, and you realize it will both benefit me, you who is you, and also the community. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Felix. Mine, I think the challenge is marketing of the areas. Like, I feel like UBC and NBS have tried really so much as media platforms to market the different tourism sites and all that. But I feel we as a country need to do more individually, because I feel it's teamwork. We could all participate. Not very many people have TVs in their homes, for example, in Teso. So what are we going to do as other people? Ugandans, for example, citizens. So I feel like we ourselves, we can't do it alone. We need other people also to keep on telling the people. First, tell them, the people in the local areas may not even know the importance of the tourism sites they have. For example, in Teso, we have a place near Ngora where there was a footprint of Jesus, they claim.
You say what?
Yes, like the footprint.
Where was
of
he going?
We don't know, but like that specific place has. So
Jesus in Iteso.
Yes, we have our Jesus. Yes. He was walking. So, you know the challenge is...
He was walking from Iteso to where?
Yes, now? I know. The rocks near... So, the challenging thing is one time we go there, like we're a team of like 12 people. We go there, we're like, let's look at this place really. Guess what? They were drying maize. Sorghum, was it? Something.
On the footprint
of Jesus.
On the
footprint of Jesus. So, you know, like, if they were really told, like, this is a tourist, maybe if they could demarcate that area, like, even if not the whole place, like that specific area, so that people are told, this generates income for us, so we have to learn how to protect it, because it's soon disappearing. So if it disappears, what next? Yes.
How best can we promote these areas? Because, like you rightly said, I, for one, I love tourism. I love moving around. But I feel very saddened when I see that all that we are pushing forward are animals. Like I said earlier, we have so much. I believe there's so much. But unfortunately, there's so much we have is very unknown. When you go to a place like CP Falls, that place is not developed. Apart from finding locals who will explain things they cannot even coordinate very well, the road to the place, you know, the security, you're in the middle of the forest. So it's all like most of these places, we've not developed them. people do not know them. Felix may not know a place called Walusi, which is in Wero, where we claim the Garden of Eden is. Because he just talked about the footsteps of Jesus.
But tourism now may be like...
But you see, Felix, many of these countries you go to, you find that away from the animals, these are some of the things that attract tourists in their country.
Surely.
They come up with something they can explain, and you find that it has when you go to Tanda, where we believe Warumbe, the Chintu story, when you go to Nagarabi, most of these places, we've not developed them beyond the intention and the interest we've given to the animals. Because we've imported lions, we have the mountain gorillas, of course, Uganda being with the biggest population. This is what we are prioritizing. But how best do we bring out these areas? That even where you come from, people, first of all, the locals get to know. Turn up in huge numbers. In Busoga, when I saw them climb the hill, where the Chabazinga, the Basugas, something like that. How best can we get to this level?
Actually, let me first talk about religious tourism. So when you talked about the footstep of Jesus, I remembered there is a church in the side of West Nile. It's a church that only has 3 people. Can only occupy, only 3 people can enter it. It can't accommodate more than 3 people. So it was believed that you go only the husband, wife, plus the priest for marriage. No one else can enter. So if people got to know about this church, everyone would wonder, why was it built? How does it even look like? So it would also attract. So this comes to us about marketing. It still comes back to marketing. We as tourism ambassadors, I believe everyone in Uganda is a tourism ambassador because it is our country. We have to market it. So we can first start by going to the locals and talking to them one by one. For example, the Tulambule that was there, talking to the locals. So we can keep promoting it. You talk to the locals and be like, do you know that you have this in your place? You can use it to your advantage. It can both benefit the community, the government, and everyone at large. Then it comes to the youth. We as the youth are so addicted to social media. So you can use the social media platforms. Instead of posting different things, why not post about what you have in Uganda? You can visit and be like, okay, now for example, let me say I'm advertising this cap. I post about this cap. I be like, it's from UBC, inspired. So everyone will be like, okay, that cap. So if we market a place very well, using our social media platforms as youth, and then we go and talk to the locals one by one and different locations, I guess we can market Uganda.
Having listened to all these Jesus' footprint, the marriage church, Chila was talking about Garden of Eden, all these things that you know.
Religious tourism.
Yes, but all the challenges now we know. What do we do? What is it that you want the youth out there to do, me to do, him to do? How do we join to assist you? What do you want us to do to push tourism forth? But because now we know it is a big deal. So how do you want us to push this together as a country? What would you want us to do? And I'll start with Marcela.
Thank you, Felix. First, I think it's mobilization.
Okay.
Yeah, we should come together, know this is what we have, appreciate it, and look for a way forward. Now, mine goes to the leaders. For example, I talked about CP Falls. I've been to CP Falls twice. I know what you're saying. So the road is terrible. Actually, it's so, I don't know.
In fact, sorry, speaking about people's, when you go to the source of the Nile, that place is like nothing is going on. Please, you're saying.
So Felix was saying, so if these leaders, first of all, we have leaders in those different areas. So if these leaders, from that money they get, because of course, tourists pay a certain amount of money. Because like the Tororo Rock, I've climbed it twice. We usually pay money. So that money goes, I think, to the district or somewhere, whatever it goes to. So those leaders, at least, if they would use those resources, kindly try to improve the road so that it's easier for many more people to come to
all the bump
area.
road is part of the tourism.
I don't know.
Before you go to the locals, the tourism sector, I just remind our viewers, our lines are now open. The number is on your screen, and we need your contribution in this important topic, tourism, youth involvement in tourism. Many of the times we've seen these clashes, that the communities where have these tourism sites, do they really stand to benefit? When you look at the revenue that comes in, of course a tourist will come in the country, pay all these, but the local communities, when you go to CP Falls, you see people around there embraced in maximum poverty. You go to Warusi, I don't know if you visit that place. Of course, traditional healers are doing some nonsense there, but you see, the communities there seem to see, apart from saying, Tula Baba Zungu Bajani Bagenda. Where there's no hotel, they don't see how they can buy what they have. So have we really, these communities, have they benefited in any way? Do you think this revenue we're talking about, that maybe they would use to develop these areas, does it even get back to them?
I'm not sure it does, because when I went to Nyaro Rock paintings in Mora, I was kind of disappointed for the first time I went, because, you know, like, when you take people to tour, sometimes you take big groups. You could probably take a school, and maybe they would need to ease themselves. But unfortunately, you will go and not find, like, areas where people can help themselves from. So you get disappointed and wonder, like, what are they doing?
Of course, let's first pick a caller, but the story is not even different at Chitagata Hot Springs. At least that one, you've tried to popularize it so much. The same incident happens there. Hello, good morning. Please, can we have more, can you be a bit more audible, kindly?
Yes, good morning, please. Thank you for the discussion.
Good morning to you. Can we have your name and where you're calling from, please?
Good morning, please.
Good morning. You're live on UBC
How are
TV.
you doing?
We're fine. How are you doing?
I'm all right. This is Sarah from Bokoto.
Sarah from Bukoto.
Yes, I've been following the discussion about tourism.
Okay.
Yes, so thank you for this.
Yes, you're welcome.
So mine is to actually implement and ask the doctor that. So, most of them have license that the ministry of tourism has a lot to do in terms of making sure that they can share the resources from the animal tourism as well as those other areas. And the locals have to understand the benefits so that they can actually appreciate it and then get to also appreciate their own resources. That is the only way.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah from Okono, for calling in. And she said the ministry has a lot to do. I wish I also concur with you and maybe our guests here. She appreciated them so much. But there's too much that has to be done. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
UBC.
You're live on UBC TV, yes.
Hello, yes.
Please kindly move away from your TV set. I think I don't want to lose you. Hello? Just turn down the volume of your TV set. Kindly do that for me.
Call Kevin.
Yes, Kevin? Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes, call Kevin. I would like to comment on one advert that you do, which you're calling Tagata. I believe that is the Empire on South Portal Road to Gombe.
Yes, that is the place, you're right.
I've seen that advert several times, and you actually mentioned saying it is Tagata. Can you correct me? You really believe that it's Tagata, not Empire? That's all, because you could mislead people and they would go to Tagata and don't find the kind of video that you play. The environmental setup would be different. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the people running that will give us more information of the hot springs. Thank you for your observation there. Well, let's pick our other caller. The number is on your screen. It is 0702 23 24 25. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you.
Moses Kaziba from behind Nakawa.
Yes, thank you for calling in, Moses Kaziba.
Yes, first, thank you. You, Felix, and the guest.
The beauties.
But I for one, I say the best, that should be the best thing for the ambassador. It first ties Ugandan youth. how to make money, how to get earnings, to do job. Because even if you take people to know about tourism, when they don't have money to go and visit the site, to go and visit tourism site, they will not go there. What matters, as you sensitize them to know about this site, you need to sensitize them how to make money,
Yes.
how to get jobs, how to create jobs. It is the best thing, what is according to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Moses Kaziba, for watching and calling in there. Sensitize them how to make money. Akulo said the liquid soap and what project there. I think it makes it all about making money, but they will be responding to that. I think let's have our final caller, then we'll go back to the beauties in the house. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set, then give us your name and where you're calling from.
Pardon?
Kindly turn down the volume of your TV set, then give us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, I'm called Ibrahim.
Yes, Ibrahim.
I'm calling from Arua.
Ibrahim from Arua.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I really appreciate those ladies for the for that effort for sensitizing the youth. And most probably the idea of environmental protection. I'm also really disappointed by the tourism sector in Uganda. A lot of places here in West Nile, which you think they can generate money for the sub-county, probably, and the general pool for the government. But when you reach there, you can't find anything which can attract you back the second time, or even call upon a friend. One time, some people even ran into an incident where one was bitten by bees, and lastly, the person died. So I think really it is upon all of us to see how we can polish the situations on ground, and probably we can make Uganda a better place. But I really appreciate those young ladies for the work they have done.
Thank you so
I'm really
much,
grateful.
Ibrahim from Arua, for calling in. And of course, your observation there that we have so much potential undeveloped, and this would give us more money had we developed this. Okay, I still have some callers online, and allow me pick more. Just give me your name, where you're calling from, and kindly turn down the volume of your TV set. Then we'll be able to communicate. Good morning. You're live on UBCT. Okay, sorry, we lost that one. But the number is on your screen, 0702 23 24 25. That is the number. Then you can call in and a question, an observation, as we look forward to how best we can promote the tourism sector in this country, and more so the youth involvement. Good morning to you. How are you?
Fine.
Yes, please give me your name then.
How are you doing?
I'm very fine.
Hey.
Who am I speaking
Good morning.
to? Good morning to you. Who am I speaking to?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Who am I speaking to?
My citation is.
Yes, please. But I didn't get your name. But please go ahead with your submission. Hello?
Hello?
Please go ahead with your submission.
My submission, I'm Maitahasa Tawal from Luka.
Yes, Boaz from Ruka.
My submission is that we should put it.
We should put, yes?
I'm suggesting that we should put the strategy for the youth, how to get the jobs and put the income generation for the youth. Because if those youth don't have that income generation, they cannot be in a position to put in place the sector for the sector of tourism.
Okay. Boaz. Yes, go ahead, Boaz, as you conclude.
So we should put it in place for jobs for those youth, so that those youth who can get access to towards them. For example, in the Ruka district.
I lost Boaz, but I got your information. We should put a strategy for income generation for the youth, and when they have the monies, then they can engage in tourism. Let's have our final caller. Hello, good morning. Please, you're live on UBC TV. Just give me your name, where you're calling from, and then you go ahead with your submission, just like the many have done, just like Boaz and many others, as long as you move away from your TV set.
Good morning, and thank you.
Good morning to you. Who am I speaking to? Hello?
Yes, good morning, fine, thank you.
Please give us your name and go ahead with your submission.
I'm called Owori Joseph Oburu. I'm calling from Yenga.
Yes, Owori Moses.
Owori Joseph Oburu, calling from Yenga.
Yes, Owori Joseph. Go ahead. Or I'm getting you. Kindly go ahead with your submission. I think let me end phone calls at that because the challenge is when you have the volume of your TV on, you want to first hear from me, then respond. But I want to thank everybody who has called in, who has endeavored. That is Moses Kaziba. Thank you so much. And of course, Ori there, Boazi, and many others. Now I go back to, I guess, the queens, in one way or the other. The contestants are now went through. The issue of income has come up, most of the callers, that we can have only tourism promoted when we have the monies to be able to pay. Some of these places you don't just see and walk away. Some you pay, and some, of course, a lot of money. How best can we go over this for the youth, that they are empowered, they have what it takes to enjoy the God-given nature and all these tourism sites and opportunities?
Well, I believe tourism has very many job opportunities. For example, let's start with the hotels that are built. We have Uganda Hotel Association that build hotels in Uganda and manage them. So with those hotels that are built, there are going to be jobs like being a waiter, waitress, security guard, or a chauffeur, something like that. So if the youths would apply for the jobs and would go for that, even the chefs, then there is also the road, the roads to the tourist site. Some of them might be bad, but I believe with the engineers that are going to be there, plus the youths helping in construction, that's also a job. Then also tour guides. If the youths get interested in tourism and you learn about a specific place, for example, you learn about the whole of Kabale, let me say. So if I come and visit, of course, I'm going to ask someone of the hotel, help me with a tour guide. If a youth would be there, if actually or two youths or three, like people that are young, would help me tour around the whole of Kabale, they would also earn income. It also comes to making the crafts that we talked about. Because whenever tourists come, whites will always want to go, or maybe any tourist would always want to go back with a craft, and they love the hats, or they love the bangles, or the necklaces. So that's also that is also still a job. So all those are different income locations. It's just a matter of the youths being interested in getting them. So I believe there are very many jobs. It's just the youth.
Okay, thank you. I want to concur to what she's saying. So what Moses was trying to allude to, I think that was the greatest captivator, income and all that. First of all, many are urban youth. That's what I should say. So what Jean is trying to allude to, there is hospitality management, and there's a lot, there are very many hotels coming up every day. There is a lot. Game rangers, we need game rangers, we need tour guides, we need, for example, now, with the friends of mine from my university, we are 4, we started up a safaris to concentrate on student tourists. So, when we start up a safaris, it's called Rada Safaris. So, Rada is the CEO. So, when we start up a safaris like that, we shall need marketeers. We shall take students. These are also youth. We shall need, when we reach those places, because when you reach, for example, Kidepo, you'll talk to those people, and then you'll need a guide. Sometimes you don't need to go with a guide all the way from Kampala. You might need a local guide to take you through the area, because they're well versed with it. So if youth would be willing, the first thing is willingness, interest also, because there will always be a way you will get that job. At least try and show interest. There is always a way. Social media. If you're very interested and you have a very big following for social media, come to me, tell me I'm a big marketeer. So, because we have something that you've heard of Innovation Village in Ntinda and then Startup Africa. There is a lot of skilling they do for youth. So try and get yourself, apart from what you're doing in normal school day life, try and get yourself involved in anything else like skilling, so you could be able to empower yourself with creativity to come up with a job in the tourism sector.
One of the challenges I find in the tourism sector, the Western influence, that many youth today have not invested in knowing who they are, what is in their communities, so that they can have something to sell. That is when it comes to the tourism sector. That actually, that is, I think, where we are so much on animals. You come from Karamoja. You know, if you're conversant with the language, that would be one thing that even maybe one would want to come and see this unique Karamajon girl, but you might find that who can even properly fit in speaking, but I highly doubt. Let me not go into that area. So how are we going to bring the youth more interested? Urbanization, modernity, we think when you're more of the Western world, you're more fitting. Yet actually a tourist who will come may want to know some of the things that will move away this animal, but you do not know them. That Westernization, that modernity, we think, and as we do that, our dances, the cultural stories we have, yet the whites are preserving all this. The oldest, when you go to religious tourism, you find that the oldest church, the synagogues, people go and pay a lot of money. Their kings and all these, people go and pay a lot of money. Because right from childhood, when you go to Israel, they'll tell there's no land better than Israel. So how do we overcome this?
Okay, you hit a point of not knowing the language. That is partially true. Because, okay, when we were growing up, the reason why I didn't the reason why I didn't go to the village a lot is because of the wars that side. And then they believed in, there was something called, how do I call it? Like, the word, I know it in my local language.
Say it.
They call it like, how should I say it? That's what I'm trying to look, like bewitching. Let me say, for example, they used to believe in witchcraft in our village. So my parents would try their best not to take us that side, because however much we tried to go that side, someone would either fall sick or something. That's the reason why I grew up not knowing my language. So contesting for Miss Tourism, I contested and I knew a bit. I was not perfect. And all my other contestants were perfect. So them knowing the language affected me in a way I felt so shadowed and I felt so down, like, what if they ask me a question on stage in my local language? I will fail. But God blessed us, they asked us in English. But it still affected me, and it came to my mind that if I knew my language, I wouldn't be scared. If I knew my language, I would go on stage very confident. But because I did not know it perfectly, I was a little bit timid. So it comes back to our leaders, our parents. You're to teach your children about your language, your staple food. Many foreigners come outside here and taste our food and they don't want to leave it because our food is really heavenly. So if you teach your kid how to cook this and be like, okay, this is called bo, this is called malakwang, this is how they cook it, yeah, this is how you're supposed to greet, this is how you're supposed to dress up. You know, we grow up knowing our culture, which actually helps us because our culture is just very beautiful. I love Ugandan culture. So it still comes back to the leaders. If the leaders would teach the young people. That's why I really appreciate Chisakati, yes, where they teach the young girls about the Baganda culture and what. So if every tribe would have it and they teach their children, or maybe they introduce it in institutes whereby they show like a little bit of culture, it would really help us in the long run.
Okay. Well, in the interest of time, can I have a word from each of you in a minute, your final word to the youth and in the area of tourism?
Wow. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show. I would like to encourage every youth out there to get involved in tourism. Uganda is very beautiful. We are endowed. We are blessed. Kindly find any way you could be use your social media wisely. Try to look for the things that are in your country. Then if you're in your village also, try to learn something about what you are, where you're from, how you came from, and keep telling people about it, because that's a way of promoting your own culture. Thank you.
Finally, from you.
Okay. I once met a wise man, and he told me, I asked him what is tourism. Of course, everyone has it. It's the visiting of places, or it's going for adventure, but he told me Uganda is tourism, and asked him how, and he marketed the whole of Uganda for me. So if I believe Uganda is tourism. So if you get to know a place, market it, get to make people know it, because at the end of the day, it's your country, it's your home, it's what you love. So I encourage the youth to get to know about their culture, to get to know about Uganda, and market it.
Well, thank you so much. That is Akulo and, of course, Riso there, with whom we've been together discussing the topic of youth involvement in tourism. Uganda, like she said, is tourism. We have so much that the world needs to know. So individually, you have a role to play. When you find some of these unique features, with social media, that is the youth most, or where they spend most of their time, take a snap, post this, share, let people know about it. We talked about, let people know of Eden in Uganda, let people know about the footstep of Jesus Christ in Uganda on social media. Then government, let's go and develop these areas. There's so much untapped potential because it has not been developed. If we develop these areas, then we'll attract more people. Let's promote domestic tourism. Amokasa Nasa has never gone to Nagalabi. You know, so some of these you have to just move there, get to know, talk about them, and I believe we'll even get more revenue than what we've been earning as a country. For God and my country, I know we have the quote of the day, and sports will be next with Ruben Mpima Kasera Chibirango. Good morning.